At least the Avatar trailer looks good. In May of 2014, Marvel Studios and Edgar Wright jointly announced that Wright was no longer directing the studio's Ant-Man film. Wright said, quote, "I wanted to make a Marvel movie, but I don't think they really wanted to make an Edgar Wright movie. Marvel wanted to rewrite a draft of the script without him, and having written all of his previous films himself, he decided to leave the project altogether." I think about Wright's departure from Ant-Man a lot when thinking about the MCU. He has a style and brand that is uniquely his own, so lending all of that to a Marvel movie felt like a match made in heaven. That was over a decade ago, and the MCU's allergy to filmmaker-driven films has only gotten worse. I wanted to love the Fantastic Four First Steps. I really did, and there is a lot to love about it, but by and large, it's another MCU film that suffers from the same problems as its predecessors and has a shocking lack of character arcs in a Fantastic Four film. You know, Marvel's first family. But this isn't a review of First Steps, but something that marketing execs will unironically call a post-mortem of First Steps, as well as a look into what kind of state the MCU is in as we begin the road to Doomsday. First Steps is the 37th entry in the MCU. That's a lot of movies over a 17-year span, and the studio's begun to show some fatigue in recent years. And by some fatigue, I'm talking running a marathon with a week's worth of prep while wearing Crocs. Personally, I've been feeling fatigue from the MCU almost immediately post-Endgame. First Steps at least has a fresh visual aesthetic, and I absolutely love the 1960s retro futurism vibe they're going for. The costumes, the sets when they're not green screen, and TV footage is super well done. Like, they're not just adding a grainy filter over a news segment and calling it a day. The audio, the graphic design, animations, hell, even the camera movements in these new segments feel super authentic and felt like a breath of fresh air in the beginning of the film. Then the characters started talking, and I immediately smelled the microwave nachos that were already microwaved by the likes of Joss Whedon, Christopher Marcus, and Stephen McFeely.
So, is anybody gonna talk about what just happened?
I really could use some help over here!
I'm kinda busy!
God damn it! If I knew I was fighting 50-foot robots with missiles attached to their arms, I might have would have taken another job!
Marvel's first family speak much like their in-universe counterparts, and I wish the dialogue matched the earnestness that the actors were giving the material, because these guys came to play. The thing is, however, the film doesn't really give its characters room to grow. There's a shocking lack of character development here, with the Fantastic Four already being the genuine article from the very beginning. They're doing a lot here. Like, a lot. Johnny Storm is going full Amy Adams from Arrival mode, deciphering an alien dialect, and Reed Richards is essentially trying to baby-proof the world, just to name a couple of examples. But they don't learn, they don't grow, even when there's a ton of opportunities to let them learn something here. Reed's obsession to create a safe home for his and Sue's baby could have easily been a chance to hone in on his paranoia and mistrust and let him realize that sometimes it's just better to go with the flow. And then we get to the filmmaking, which has long been Marvel's Achilles heel. I am a firm believer in letting the filmmakers do their thing, get weird, take chances, be creative with these characters, say something unique with this story. First Steps leaves me hanging in this regard, and that really shouldn't be surprising, but here we are. The MCU has never been a filmmaker-first franchise. It's a studio that has their way of doing things, hiring filmmakers and crew they believe can get the job done. That's why we see young and independent filmmakers get hired to these multi-$100 million projects, and, well, they're directors for hire, and hey, a job's a job. And Marvel used to be able to coast on that model. Ant-Man 2015 was a really good movie and had tons of cool visuals and a pretty distinct style within the parameters of the MCU. A lot of us still think what if when it comes to Edgar Wright, but looking back, the first Ant-Man film looks like Citizen Kane compared to its sequels. The movies leading up to Endgame did just enough to create a universe full of compelling characters and stories, gradually building up hype to see the absolute biblical events of Infinity War and Endgame. Being an MCU fan in the 2010s was, well, a movie. It was like watching 2009 Undertaker at WrestleMania, delivering classic after classic, banger after banger. We felt like we were witnessing greatness in real time. We were locked in for each movie, and it reached a fever pitch in 2019 with Endgame, feeling like it was Game 7 of the NBA Finals with the fate of the universe on the line. Shout out Andre Iguodala. Watching the MCU now feels like watching 2018 Undertaker. The man's washed. You take a deep breath before each match or each movie thinking, okay, here we go, and expressing delight or relief when he would do something that would have been elementary 10 years before, followed by witnessing a train wreck that makes you wonder, man, there goes my hero. It also doesn't help when you watch this soon after James Gunn's Superman, which is by no means a perfect movie, but my god, what a whiplash effect. Any and every problem I have with James Gunn's Superman, I can attribute to a filmmaker or an actual human being, not a studio. Gunn actually moves the camera with style and personality, making scenes like that 12-minute dialogue sequence flow in ways that would make Kevin Feige's head explode. The main characters have motivations, they have flaws, and most importantly, they have room to grow, and the film actively lets them grow and act on their motivations. I don't love all the choices made in Superman, but I'd rather get shot in the face with a close-up of Isabella Merced screaming her head off than talk about reshoots or studio interference or how much Feige re-edited the movie before its release. And that leads me to the question, where does the MCU go from here? The road to Doomsday has been a rocky one, and we're a little over a year out from its release, with the only movie releasing before that being Spider-Man Brand New Home. It's gonna be a big one. I mean, look at the cast list alone. It's a multiverse movie with a capital bolded, underlined, italicized cross through M. The Russo brothers are coming back, as are Marcus and McFeely, but looking at their body of work post-MCU, there's not a lot of hope to be had. As I alluded to earlier, past films have been bombarded with studio interference, reshoots, late edits. It's impossible to believe that won't be the case here. Marvel's going to treat this as a product more than a film, despite them reportedly shooting Doomsday with an unfinished script. Some movies can thrive on that kind of workflow. Just look at the first Iron Man. They straight up built an entire film franchise in a cave with a box of scraps. But we all know the movie is going to make money. You're going to watch it, I'm going to watch it. It's an Avengers movie, and the goopy goblin gamer brain in us wants to see it. We have this morbid curiosity of Robert Downey Jr. coming back to play Doctor Doom, how the original X-Men factor in all this, and also the age-old thrill and allure of witnessing a train wreck in real time. I just hope the MCU remembers what brought him to the dance. Confidence. It's easy to forget that the first Avengers film starred what was then considered B or C tier superheroes. They made the Guardians of the Galaxy household names. They made films that were nominated for Oscars. They made these niche corners of the comic book world mainstream. With a box of scraps. They did all of that, achieving the tightrope act of the Infinity Saga with a right blend of confidence and focus. Not everything worked, but by and large, they passed with flying colors, creating boatloads of iconic moments and memories for comic book fans and moviegoers alike. Now, the momentum they rode on to Endgame is gone. So it's time to go back to basics. And I don't mean a soft reboot or shrinking the scale of Doomsday or Secret Wars, because make no mistake, this is gonna be a massive major motion picture / theme park ride. They just need to make a good one. Will they though? I don't think so. All signs point to an overstuffed and dull disaster of a film, but I hope I get proven wrong. I don't like watching bad movies. It's not fun. And I felt a glimmer of hope when watching Thunderbolts, so it really hurt to see it underperform at the box office. I just want a good movie, man, and I think that's something we can all agree on. Also, the fact that we need to stop it with the CGI babies.